The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, employer, or company. The content provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal, financial, medical, or professional advice. All discussions of crimes, accusations, or legal matters should be considered alleged unless proven in a court of law. Always seek the advice of a qualified professional with any questions you may have regarding a particular matter. Listener discretion is advised. Enjoy the show. Okay, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Out of Control with Mel. I'm Mel, and today I'm talking to Amie Ichikawa. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's so nice to see you again. It's been a really long time since we've spoken, but I see you in the exosphere, and I know that you're always working really hard. On behalf of women in prison, I understand you have some exciting news today. I don't know if you want to kick off with that or what.
We do have some exciting news, and it feels perfectly out of control. And let's just get into it. President Trump did sign an executive order that pretty much undid the last 4 years of terror by defining man, woman, boy and girl, male and female. What it's doing is it's setting the tone for the entire administration. These are the way they're going to format the policies. This is the way they're going to run the camp this year. This is the next 4 years. This is how we're going to get down. It also specifically states that men will not be housed in women's prisons, and federal funding will not be used for any procedures that are to enhance someone's belief that they are the opposite sex that they were born. Now, we're going to have some issues in sunny states like California. It's going to take all 4 years for them to have any respect for following through with this kind of stuff, which is why we still have an incredibly uphill battle ahead of us. But this was the best way possible I can ever imagine to start a presidency off with. And for all the ladies who are still on the fence, and for everybody that still hates this guy's guts, we got to give it to him, because there were no other options as far as getting this level of acknowledgement that women are women and men are men. It's a win-win all the way around. Even if you hate him, we still won.
Yeah. It's really important. I don't think people understand how important that whole thing is, because they don't understand the many ways it was going to touch their lives if it hadn't already. And it's hard to drive that point home now, because they're never going to see that. And we don't want them to. We don't want to experience a world where men are trampling all over women's rights and pretending to be women. But I can think of one person in particular, hi mom, who was really excited about that one particular thing, but she's still worried about other issues with Trump, which I wish I was better able to explain why I'm not so concerned about those issues. Yeah, this was a huge, huge win. And maybe we can talk about some of those other things, because we were talking about it a little bit before we hit record about immigration concerns and gays going. We didn't talk about this, but gays going to camps and shit. Like, what? Come on, man.
A gay gulag. I think that people that have outwardly obvious mental health issues are not going to be able to hold positions of power. I think that is probably a really good idea, because if you honestly think that you were born in the wrong body, I don't know how you can command an infantry. I don't also know how you can care for constituents when you think that it's normal to go to work in a dress with a boner. I just do not.
And especially everything that you and I know, because we've studied a lot on all of this, is there. It's about that all the time. It's not like, they discovered, this gave me a boner once, and now I want to dress like a woman because that makes me happy. And it's about a boner all the time, forever.
Yes. So, and what gives you a boner? Making people uncomfortable, making people incredibly uncomfortable, making women cringe, making women not want to use that restroom, making women not want to take a shower at this time. They're making women cancel their gym memberships. That is a get off.
Right. It's like the flasher who wants to see your response.
Yes. And that's exactly what, all these members of the judicial community don't seem to understand. But, they're probably mentally unwell men with paraphilias as well. So This is what it is. We don't have to be subjected to being the get off at our horribly incredible discomfort. And this is the beginning of the end of the get off, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there. But let's just put it back in the closet where it belongs, where it has been for the last several decades. Stay in there, prance around in your panties, in, your grandma's underwear, whatever it is you're doing in private. That's your business. It's not mine.
Yeah.
It's people's children's. It's not the libraries. It's for you. That belongs to you. And you have your sexy time in the basement playing
Like
dungeons.
the rest of us.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, for real. I'm curious what's specifically happening in women's prisons here in California at this moment.
Well, very recently, like within the last hour, I've gotten some information that the Prea compliance team, the Prison Rape Elimination Act team, has been on prison grounds, and what it sounds like is very retaliatory. They're walking up and down the halls, checking to make sure everyone is in Prea compliance. And what they're doing is telling women to tear down shower curtains, tear down, because they're all homemade. In California women's prisons, unlike the feds, there's stainless steel doors in front of the long shower that's in your cell, because there's 8 women in this cell.
Okay.
A longer shower and a stainless steel door that covers from here to about the top of your kneecap, a little above, actually, just so that they can't see your nipples or your vagina. And there's cutouts on the top and the bottom, but that's so that the cops can make sure there's not 14 people in there having a great time or someone's killing you. Same thing with the toilet, which is right next to the shower. There's a privacy door that's about this wide so that they can see your head, they can see your knees, and anybody that's over 5'8" can see everything that's going on in there. Most of the transfers that are men are over 5'8", so they can just walk around in the room and see all your business. So women, being the creative creatures that we are, even before the introduction of men into the institution, would fashion little curtains,
Mhm.
tie-dye, cute, galaxy print. You put them on a string so that you can hide them during inspection. They're out of sight, out of mind. They won't bother you, and you can still have privacy when they're done walking the hallway. Well, they're going in and ripping these off of the walls. So this isn't necessary. This is extra.
Right.
And this is immediately after Trump signed the executive order. So it's hard for me to not think that these two things are related.
Right.
And these are just the little things that make life a little bit worse.
Yeah.
But this somehow is directly related to the pregnancies. So the message that the women, they're interpreting this as, this wouldn't have been a problem if you would have used the condoms. We wouldn't be picking on you if you wouldn't have gotten pregnant while you were having all this illegal inmate sex, consensual or non-consensual, even though there's no consent in prison. They're picking on them because they're getting picked on for the pregnancies. They're now being held accountable for these pregnancies. So you're going to dump on the ladies for this. The sperm should have never been introduced to the environment in the first place. So who are you going to get mad at? Put the anger where it's supposed to be. Somebody needs to go bang on Scott Weiner's door and let him know, your fault. You put the sperm in there, brother man. You are going to be held accountable. Tear his curtain down, not, the ladies in the honor dorm.
Are there a lot of pregnancies?
Well, 2 years ago, there was a total of 16. Can we prove
in just one prison or in
all of California? Because there's only 2 women's prisons now.
Okay, 2 women's prisons and there's 16 pregnancies.
Right. And
these men are busy.
And when you get pregnant, they send you to Chino, to the medium security prison, for safety reasons. So the Freedom of Information Act response came from that prison. There were 16 pregnancies at once, but there's no way to prove where those pregnancies came from, who put them in there, but they were all from established inmates. So they weren't women coming in from county jail that were pregnant. That doesn't happen very often anyway. These were women who were already incarcerated who became pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't taken the time to do much more PRAs or anything, because
what do we need a bill to require a DNA test or what?
I don't know. If they just need to eliminate the problem entirely. But there's other situations that are making me think California is definitely going. It's gonna. They're gonna give everybody a hard time. I
Yeah.
mean, the judge in the Tremaine Carroll case, who is forcing everybody to use compelled speech and address this individual with female pronouns. How do you talk about getting raped with a penis when you have to say her?
What would
And
happen if you refuse to do it? You get held in contempt of court?
and this is a Newsom appointed judge who took her daddy's seat. That is her daddy's courtroom. So when he retired, she slid right into that seat thanks to Newsom. So I'm pretty sure she's been bought and paid for, because I was also there for the jury instructions on the day where she was letting the jury know that in the situation of the officer with the 97 counts of rape against inmates, 97 counts, that he could be found not guilty on these rape charges because of the positive testimony that was given on his in his favor, you know. And I was like, why does she keep saying this? Is she nuts? And she also refused to tell the jury that inmates do not have the right to give consent. You're
Okay.
state property. You're the same as a couch or a desk. You do not have the right to give consent. If you get a sunburn, you can get written up for destruction of state property. So you can't say, I want to do it to you, because you don't have the right to consent. But she did not tell them that. And the jury even came out of deliberations to specifically ask her if inmates could give consent. And she said, refer to your written jury instructions. So that was bizarre. And this is the same lady that's on Tremaine Carroll's case. So I don't know. That's kind of bizarro. That's California for you.
Can you tell me about Tremaine Carroll's case? I haven't been following anything.
Tremaine Carroll's case. Tremaine has been officially charged with 2 counts of rape, 1 count of dissuading a witness, and has filed a Marsden motion to represent themselves in court.
And this is someone that was in a women's prison,
Yes.
an inmate.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So they fired their attorney and they're going pro per. This person stutters. This person is a real smooth operator. This is like going to be the biggest
Con.
clown show that you can imagine, because it's all for attention. It's all for pity. I mean, this person hasn't had the best life. This person had a really messed up childhood. Does that justify the actions that have occurred from childhood to now? No, absolutely not. This person also filed a lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs because apparently there was some essay that occurred between them two. And apparently also Diddy and the former secretary of the California Department of Corrections are the ones that cooked up the plan for this person to go to women's prison. So this person wouldn't tell on Diddy. And this person was also approached to eliminate Suge Knight. And the courts are taking this seriously. The courts are taking this seriously. So you can just do whatever you want, I guess. This is where your tax dollars are being spent in entertaining these claims. But this person has communicated with me that they feel their case is going to be dismissed, the grape one. And I had to stop and think about it for a minute, because one of the lead investigating officers who was in charge of a lot of the investigation, not all of it, but that investigation, as well as the staff sexual assault investigation, just got busted for transmission of child pornography. So there is going to be compromised information, but there's enough evidence that they're not going to be dependent on that person's contribution to the investigation. But it just goes to show how deep the depravity is within the Department of Corrections. There's no bottom. Just when you think we've made some progress and things are going well, this drops. And I mean, it made me sick to my stomach. I was just with this person. We were just in court together, and I would have never ever peg that person as that kind of individual, but what does that kind of individual look like or act like? And I think that's going to impact a lot of the other things that are going on in there. I personally think it can't just be one person.
No, never is.
They need to dig a little deeper into that. I'm sure things will be uncovered in the near future.
Any institution that isn't just completely upside down with corruption.
No, and it's from like the library all the way to the governor's office. It's garbage. There's after effects of all of these poor decisions that were made with no respect to women or their right to exist as women. Like one of the women who actually had a baby by this individual, they put that woman in the same prison as two of his victims. The person that had the babies was given these other ladies the blues for months. And I asked a couple of people in, higher positions, like, is anybody concerned that this is creating a really dangerous, potentially explosive situation? Why would you do that? And it did finally explode. The one who had the baby blew up on another ex-girlfriend. This individual, the one who was beat till she miscarried, blew up on her. That one had to defend herself. So now she feels like she's being punished for defending herself.
Right, because you're not allowed to do that.
Oh. So they send, the other baby mama back up north to Chowchilla. So that's where she's at with her mom now, because her mother is a lifer. So people don't understand the extent of the trauma. And the baby, does anybody wonder about what happened to the baby? Now the baby lives with Granny. And, this is clearly perfecting the pipeline to keep the prison full.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody's really looking at the biggest picture here. Like, they used to house runaway slaves together for reproductive purposes because it was more financially beneficial. How is this any different? How is this
Oh God.
from what we're not supposed to do anymore? You're doing it and you're putting lipstick on it and it's okay now? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And California is, home base for demented eugenics and human science experiments, and all that needs to be fully exposed because they just recently stopped giving women uninformed full hysterectomies, and now they're just giving everybody testosterone.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop. This is the worst human science project that nobody knows about, which is disgusting. But then you think the state prison is bad, and you go to the feds. Call for help when you're in the feds. The feds, there is no one. There's no one. And I've never.
You know what else? Talking about the pipeline, because another thing that keeps coming up with people that I've been talking to is the whole CPS thing. How that's just, ooh, I knew it. I knew I was going to get a reaction. It's, how it's just a human trafficking organization. And so that's another pipeline.
Let me tell you, okay, I made friends with this lovely kid that's in the foster system. I was really irritated. My boyfriend was like, I got to bring this kid home. And I was like, oh, come on. And I opened the door and it was this angel boy with blue eyes and curly blonde hair. And I was like, what the heck? What in the Calvin Klein? Who the heck are you? And he's like, what's up? What's up, homie? What's up? And I was like, oh, sweetheart, sit down. Let's get some food in your belly. What the heck is going on with you?
Yeah.
His mom's dead. His dad's in prison. He's in the system. And he's been there since he was 11, 12. He's almost 18 now. I said, tell me, I made him feel comfortable. And he starts telling me some stuff. There are not like foster homes like we think anymore. There's some, but this is a foster placement. You go into a home that's a designated facility, and there's a whiteboard that says when you walk in, this is a state-operated facility. They call the living room the day room. They're getting them psychologically ready to go to prison. Because I said, you can't watch TV. He goes, well, there's a TV in the day room. I said, what the hell in the day room are you talking about? There's a day room in prison. There's a day room in a mental hospital. He said, there's a day room in my foster home. I said, oh, no, no, no. He said that he had gotten into some trouble. His probation officer said, you got to go to the Rainbow Home because there is no home with a security level that you can go to. It's either that or juvenile hall. And he's like, well, I'm not gay. I'm not going to the Rainbow Home. He said, you're going to go to the Rainbow Home or you're going to jail. So he said, I'm going to the Rainbow Home. He goes to the Rainbow Home and he said, yeah, there's like some gay kids, some trans kids there. And, you know, the little sensitive guys come home from school, put on their streetwalker clothes and go out and sell their bodies after school. And I was like really upset because this is what Scott Weiner designed these laws to be like. This is why you can't pull anybody over for prostitution. This is why, you know, he's creating red light districts by not requiring parking for new developments. This is why you can build a liquor store next to a home now. This is what this dude is doing. This is by design. So these kids go sell their bodies, come home, and then get Uber Eats so they can have something to eat when they come home because nobody spends all of the money that's being filtered into these factory homes to the kids. They don't get anything.
Right.
They're not even getting fed. They're selling their ass for dinner. So that's crazy town. And then, you know, maybe 2 years ago, I had talked to somebody who said specifically in the Bay Area, there was a meeting for foster parents and that there were a bunch of new foster parents that were like super rainbowed out that had moved from other states specifically for the unicorn home program, you know, where they're going to ensure that LGBTQIA plus kids have a welcoming place to be fostered. When in fact, we know that's not what it is.
Indoctrination station.
Yes. And what happens is that these kids get medicalized and then they're either going to be on permanent disability or they're going to go be criminals and they're going to end up a form of income for the state in prison. It's all a shell game. It's all money. They're using kids' lives as a form of a permanent stream of income.
Yeah.
It's the most depraved. And I thought, you know, it's the kids. We're going to get full stop on the kids. No. It just keeps, the disappointment is never ending. I mean, I didn't expect the prison issue to be the end all, but I certainly thought that the kids would make people go full stop. Like, oh no.
No. And kids, I mean, I'm all up in the human trafficking. I sort of study that whole world and what's going on there. It's so prolific and you can't even talk about, I mean, I talk about it, but people don't like to hear it. People don't like to talk about it. It's so unpleasant.
But I mean, ever since the milk carton kids, who just loses their kid? You don't just lose your kid. Hundreds of thousands of kids don't just randomly go missing. This is a major industry.
Billions.
I don't care how Twilight Zone or Alex Jones they sound. This is a big business. People have babies and drinking baby blood for a long time, and they got to wake up. Why else would there be so many missing children? Why else would there be so much effort to not criminalize child sex trafficking, especially in California?
Yeah, let's emancipate them at 12 and just see what happens. Let's de-sex them so that they're children forever. That's cute. And then make it so that they can't have jobs, like you said, so they have to sell that butt.
Yeah, and we can do that legally now because we want to be able to tax that booty. That's what it's coming to. And you know, you can see in the agenda like California's end goal is the abolition of the age of consent. That's what they want. That's the end goal. That's what Weiner's going for. And he's so close. He's so close. He did that weird thing with the marriage, and it might seem minute. It might seem like it's not such a big deal, but when redefining marriage, if there's no limitation to how many can be in a union, or there's no definition of you're not putting man and woman, so you're eliminating the adultness of the act of marriage. What are you doing? You could argue he was getting married in California. There was no problem. They have a tendency to do this. They distract everybody. and slap gay on it to make them think it's about equality and equitability, when in fact it's not. It's about predator prioritization and, sex offender supremacy. And it's crazy because the whole face of the judicial system is changing right before our eyes. And these law firms and these high-powered, trans-centered law firms are winning, and nobody really knows because they're doing things like taking cases in the prisons because nobody gives a crap about the prisoners. Nobody's going to follow all these lawsuits that are occurring in the prison that are getting settled out, that fund the big lawsuits involving people that matter.
Amie, what the fuck do people care about? Because they don't care about people in prison. They don't care about children. They don't care about women. Do they only care about perverts? Is that where we're at in society?
Well,
and by the way, respond to this when you're watching the episode. I want to know, what the fuck do people care about? What do you care about, people?
Besides money, essentially, I think money is the biggest thing that's important. But the media has done such a fantastic job of creating this marginalized group that is in fact just old gay white guys. I mean, the people that are, at city council meetings or at school board meetings that are screaming, that are saying you're killing us, you're ending the life of trans women. You don't see too much flavor in those crowds.
Right.
You don't see a whole lot of diversity. You see a whole lot of dandruff smelling white guys.
Bald. Oh God. Yeah. They're so gross.
The yuck. Basement door. I don't know what's happening with my dogs. They're all the same kind. They all
look like Admiral Levine.
And if people would just wipe that lipstick off and some of that glitter, they would see this is the oppressor. This is the oppressor that everybody has hated for decades, but somehow magically became the most marginalized and oppressed individual in all the nation. How did you do that? How did you go from being the scum of the earth to the most underrepresented, needy, delicate category of human being in America? That was really smooth.
It was so smooth.
Yeah. It was.
I marvel at it all the time. The grooming. I was talking to someone yesterday about Transparent, the show Transparent. I don't know if it was a Hulu. I can't remember, but it was Jeffrey Tambor. He's a pretty big older actor. Judith Light is in it as well. Anyway, he decides later in life, I'm a woman, always have been. Let me be my authentic self. And the whole show is framed around, him and him being his authentic self and the way it affects his family and everything. But they never once ever mention in the show ever that it's a paraphilia or that he's getting a euphoria boner or that it's about him being turned on by himself. Never once do they ever mention it one time. And I watched that show before I knew anything. And I'm fully sitting there groomed by it the same way I was groomed by Orange is the New Black, with Laverne Cox being the nicest person in the whole prison.
And that was so specifically, expertly executed. I mean, I was in it for the first season because I was like, oh, wow, I said the same thing about my state issue shoes when I got there. I was like, these are kind of like Tom's. Oh, yeah, it's just relatable. But then all of a sudden you introduce Laverne Cox and you see somebody who's just this beautiful trans woman who needs her hormones and is very delicate and is there probably for mail fraud or something, not a rapist of small children. This is not Laverne Cox. This is somebody with a Cox. They're lying. Right. But they designed it to where every time I opened my mouth, they thought that I was attacking this poor, delicate princess man.
Right.
No, absolutely not, because the princess men are in the men's prison getting treated like princesses. They have no desire to be with the women. Why would you, if you are on dick, want to go to the women's prison where there is nothing there to entertain you, there's no one to be in a relationship with, and you know that the women get treated like dogs? The only reason why you would want to go over there is because you're either a PC You have to be in protective custody. You have nowhere else to be housed safely. You're a defector or a dropout from like the Aryan Brotherhood or the Mexican Mafia, or you're a apex male predatory person. That's why you go. Because the queens who are living it up in the men's prison as they have been for decades, they don't want to be associated with this. I've
Right.
got calls where they've said, girl, we do not want to go over there. You better tell people. And I'm like, I wish you would tell people. I wish you would tell people because it doesn't matter what I say anymore. I need you to say you don't want to go over there and that this is not an adequate representation of you and your community. Because
Right.
it's not. And then what they're doing is these big, mean dudes go over there and they start brainwashing the few trans men who are very active in the trans rights movement in there. The trans men who used to be bow daggers and prison dykes and handsome ladies that are now trans men. They've been captured by this and they feel very, very obligated to protect the trans women community because they're being ostracized, because they're being assaulted. Really? How many are being assaulted? Because I only know one. I only know one. And that trans woman hates the practice that's going on, hates it to death and wants nothing to do with it. Everybody else has no record of being assaulted in the men's prison. They just decided to come over.
Right.
There's even one who post-op, very effeminate person said, Amie, I'm going back. I can't be here anymore. I can't watch these women get ignored. I can't watch. If one more woman comes to me with the fear of death in her eyes, I'm going to lose it. I can't be here anymore. And that person went back to men's prison voluntarily because in 30 years of incarceration, that person had never felt as unsafe as they did in women's prison because
Wow.
of the way the women are treated and ignored and how the trans are prioritized above all else, above logic, above everything. It's crazy. But those are the kind of stories that it's really hard to tell because it is unbelievable because of the way things have been framed.
Yep. Speaking of unbelievable, what fucking pie doesn't Diddy have his little diddler in anyways?
Um, I don't know. When is that? I mean, that was an incredible distraction over the last few months that even got me, you know, but I've been knowed that there was something extremely wrong in the hip hop industry. Nobody gives a crap that Aaliyah was married to R. Kelly when she was a teenager.
Yeah.
But a number came out long before she turned 18 and nobody cared. Nobody cared. And that was humongously wrong. That was bigly wrong. That was so not cool. And Sean Carter, Jay-Z was completely involved in that. Who put her on the plane when she was leaving the Bahamas and the plane had too much weight on it and it crashed and she died? Sean Carter. I mean,
Yeah.
this is dirty. And if people really want to focus on the Diddy thing, dig a little deeper, go back a little farther, because this has been going on for years. Go back to Freaknik in Atlanta. Go back to when that was totally normalizing college campus essays.
Um,
When, you know, people were coming from all over the country to go to Freaknik and they would come back with their asses busted open.
yeah, what is Freaknik?
Freaknik used to be when all of the sororities and fraternities in the South would have like a big summer bash. And I mean, I even wanted to go. I was like, oh, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
Uncle Luke, everybody's there. That looks fun. But no, that's not fun. And now that I'm a grown up and I know that these things are date rape, this is bad. This isn't a good time. This isn't normal. You
Right.
shouldn't be running and crying after a date, and you shouldn't want to boil yourself. None of these things are normal, but those are the things that had been normalized in my head because of my obsession with, hip hop and gangster rap music, because bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. But little did I know that I am the bitches and that ain't shit. I thought because I'm singing it, I somehow wasn't included in that.
Right. Yeah.
But it took me years. It took me even past prison to freaking realize this is against you, homie. This is not for you. You are
The
the
target.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that normalized all that in my head. And the hip hop industry is so dark. It's so dark. Nobody cares. I mean,
Well, Rihanna was apparently, Jay-Z was apparently boinking her when she was 16 or less.
and I think there was a situation where it was either one of them, either Diddy or it was Sean Carter, said, I'm going to throw you off this balcony. Like
Oh, you
you have to sign with me. And what is she going to do? Go under her umbrella, Ella? No, there's nothing you can do when these men with all this power.
Well, not only that, but they'll also make sure that you can't sign with anyone else.
Yeah,
So you can leave out the window. Sure, maybe he won't throw you out the window, but if you don't sign it, you're over. You're done. That's it.
this is the kind of stuff that has to be exposed. Everything has to be uncovered. Like, I can't wait. I really hope that this new big homie Cash Patel really busts the cap on all of this stuff. Like, I want to see the Epstein files. I want to see the Diddy list. I want to see all of that because I want people to know that the Obamas were participating. I want people to know that Oprah was partying with all of these people. I want people to know.
By the way, since you're into this, into it. Since you follow this and you know about the satanic shit, there are some testimonies that I've been listening to on another channel, and there's this one in particular. I'll send it to you, but she names Oprah. There is this woman who she's now, this is like 30 years ago when she was a child. She's in her 30s now. She lives out in the desert. She doesn't like, she's an artist. This is, anyways. Um, but when she was a child, she went to one of these events. This is like Freemason, like satanic shit, right? And Oprah was there with two girls, little girls on leashes. And she goes on. I won't say more because everyone can go listen. I'll put the episode link in the show notes, but it's bad.
Well, can't anybody remember that Oprah was BFFs with John of God in Brazil?
Mhm.
John of God that got cracked for having a baby factory in his cult place. I mean, he's like serving a life sentence in Brazil for having women in chains to have his babies, and then when they were no good for that anymore, he was harvesting their organs.
Yeah,
And
that's the thing that people don't understand. They're like, what are this satanic and drinking blood? It's like, yeah, they do that, but also for an added benefit, they then sell the organs if they don't eat them or burn them or whatever they do in their, it depends on which coven and which ritual and da, 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 da. But yeah,
from a very young age, I was like, something ain't right. I would look at these milk cartons and say, this isn't normal. Something is happening. There's lizard people. I mean,
well,
I,
someone was saying that those milk carton things weren't showing missing children. They were advertisements for pedos.
right. And people
So
are
they were missing, of course, but they weren't showing it like, hey, come find this kid. It was like, hey, pedos, this, we've got this one.
yeah. And then people, are quick to say how crazy I am because as
Oh,
soon as stuff started with like Wayfair and all, I jumped on it real quick, and it was eerie. You can't unsee what you've seen. I mean, there was that Celine Dion website too. She had her children's line of clothing, and there were links on the bottom for hookups with children. I mean, I wouldn't have believed if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. But it was right after that bizarro ad that she did, where she was like running through a hospital NICU unit or something, and she was wearing all black, and she got busted by security, and then all the kids were suddenly wearing these genderless forms of clothing with X's and crosses. And
oh, right.
I jumped on that website really quick, and I was like, oh no, that's not normal. Why isn't anybody paying attention to this? can can somebody please tell the police because this is not.
Well, a lot of the police are in on it. They're everywhere. They're in the judicial system. They're in politics. They're everywhere. Um,
In plain sight, so they're absolved.
yeah, we won't go too far down the rabbit hole because I hate doing it in the middle of shows that aren't about that because I'm like, oh fuck, please don't discount everything we've said just because we jumped down, but just do a little digging, people. I don't
It's
say this shit lightly. I'm not trying to like tarnish my whole reputation by saying insane things. Like I can't unsee or unknow and unhear And I've spent now hundreds and hundreds of hours listening to testimony of MK Ultra survivors, and that's all part of it.
And it's so real. MK Ultra is so freaking real. It's so real. It's legit. I mean, okay, I don't want to go down another hole
Yeah.
because you think we're crazy, but how about this hole? How about the federal hole? The federal hole is such a dirty, horrible hole. Like Rhonda Fleming, the one who filed a lawsuit in 2017 for her right to bodily privacy, is currently in limbo. I tried to send her a message this morning. I went to her trial in Tallahassee last week or the week before. It just says you're no longer connected to this inmate, which means she's in transit, which means we don't know where she is and neither does she, because it's not like the US Marshals tell you where you're going when they say it's time to go.
No.
Uh, she's going to be leaving county custody and she's back in federal custody on her way, hopefully, to Texas. But this woman who was the primary whistleblower in getting the rape club closed in California, FCI Dublin, is totally hated by the BOP. She was moved 10 times in 8 weeks leading up to her trial. And we're not talking like down the street. This is between Texas, Oklahoma, and Florida. 10 times.
For safety?
No, I believe it's to break her, to make her, to thwart her case, because you have to put in a change of address to the courts every single time.
Oh,
Um,
so
they
just
were,
fucking with her.
yeah, they were moving her without her medication. Something happened. I think she either sprained her foot or broke her foot in transit to Florida the last time. So she was in a wheelchair in court. And the message I had received from her the night before court was, I'm going to look a mess. I was assaulted, but I'm really happy I get to see you tomorrow. And I was like, oh man, I don't even know this lady. I have no idea who she is, but I know that she's ready. This is her hill and she'll die on it. People don't understand. She's not just doing it for herself. This is for womankind. This lady is like the patron saint of female inmates. She just being that close to her was crazy because you can feel the righteousness flowing out of her. Like I it was the craziest Wayne's World moment. I was like, wow, we're not worthy. I can't believe I'm even near you. Um, and there was this automatic, like instant kinship. Because the things that she said while she was testifying for her right to bodily privacy was so accurate. She got so many good things on record that are really important. Like women in prison, we love each other. Even the ones that we don't get along with. At the end of the day, if somebody needs something, you're still going to check on them, even if you hate them. And she was real clear about, I don't hate any of these people. One of my best friends thinks she's a man, and everybody knows she's one of my best friends. And I don't really want to shower with her either. I don't want to shower with somebody who thinks they're a man or with a man. But the judge was very adamant in his belief that there's shower curtains and nobody's violating your right to privacy if they're not barging in on the shower and forcing themselves on you.
Come on, man.
But this is also the same judge who ruled that children must use compelled speech and address teachers with their preferred pronouns. So how was she ever going to get a fair shot at this?
All grooming and gaslighting, all of it. Psychological abuse.
And this judge, I mean, even during closing arguments, he told her attorney to shut up and sit down. It was insane. He stopped court proceedings to go off the record to ask the current warden of the federal prison in Tallahassee, I have a couple of attorneys that are having some issues getting their laptops and cell phones in when they want to see their clients at your prison. You talk to about that? And the warden kind of looked like off put. She said, well, you can talk to me about that. How awkward and uncomfortable, because there's a lady whose life is literally hanging. Like she's strung up and you're going to stop court proceedings to just shoot the shit. And she was like, we're done now? She gets off the stand. And then at another point, he stops the court to go, asked the DOJ attorney, I know you just had a baby. Are you okay to go till 5:30? You need a break. We could call it a day now. And I was like, you are acknowledging that this woman might need a special consideration because of her womanhood, because of her motherhood, because of her female body.
You're in the middle of doing it. How can you not connect the dots?
That this federal Black female inmate, your concern for her isn't even as great as that of the BOP specialist who's testifying dog. You had more concern about her dog than you did about Rhonda Fleming. And I've never shown so much. I grew up so much that day because the amount of constraint, the amount of maturity that I had to show in that courtroom was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back to my hotel room and just cry and sit in the bathtub and cry. And they pay attention to very bizarre things. I have stickers that say Amend Prea, the Prison Rape Elimination Act. Amend Prea now. Oh, here's one. It says Amend Prea now, right? And this, I slapped that thing onto a hand sanitizer in the courtroom because there were hand sanitizers everywhere. But I did it very discreetly, did it very respectfully. And we recessed briefly, and I went to the bathroom and I come back in and all the hand sanitizers are gone. And I was like, you guys pay attention to this kind of stuff? This is what you're paying attention to? I hope you do arrest me for stickering a federally owned hand sanitizer. I pay you. I pay you.
Right.
I was trying so hard during all of this to get into Senator Rick Scott's office, which is in the same building, to ask him if he would please, but he was in DC, to ask him if his office would please extend some sort of additional monitoring or protection for Rhonda Fleming while she's in the state of Florida because of the great danger that she's in. But I couldn't even get in to talk to anybody in his office without an appointment, even though Senator Chuck Grassley's office flagged it for his office. So I don't know. It's way out. It's way out. And I just feel like the only resolution to this specific issue is a presidential pardon. We have to get her out. She just has to be released. There's a couple of women that have been tortured to the point where they just have to be released. And I'll keep pushing all 4 years until they get to come home.
How does that happen? How do you do that? How do you push for something like that?
I think the DOJ has to tell the BOP and the ABC. But I think we have enough fingers in the cabinet that this is reasonable and not too far-fetched of an ask. Because there's just this woman and Rhonda and another woman in Texas have been through so much at the hand of the BOP that there is no way to rectify this situation. They've paid their debt to society 100 times over because of the torture that they've survived at the hand of the BOP. They can't hide this. And in these situations, unless they're going to fire thousands of people, let these two ladies go and I'll leave this one alone, because the injustice there is too great for it to ever be fully rectified. You can't just do this to women, not anymore anyway.
Yeah.
Not while I'm still breathing. I can't.
Our judicial system, the whole thing is really crazy. Everybody I've talked to this week, is having some kind of legal issue and can't be heard and doesn't have access to representation and everything. Everyone's always trying to get away with something in the courtroom, and just the corruption.
Because if
exhausting.
You have representation, nobody takes you seriously, and they're going to get you for not dotting that I or crossing that T. I would love to represent myself in so many cases, in so many situations. I think if I would have invested half the money that I've blown on BS in getting some of the women inside to actually be lawyers, we'd be cooking with gas. But hindsight is 2020. I could
Yeah.
have gone to school instead of prison, but if I wouldn't have gone to prison, I wouldn't know how important this issue is. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And it seems all the lady lawyers, all the even the man lawyers who are even remotely concerned about this are already involved. And
Okay.
there's never going to be enough lawyers in America to handle this because there's always going to be 500 more cases behind every other case. I feel bad. I got a message from a woman in Illinois, and she said, "My mom, saw your interview on Fox News, and she's so happy that you said that stuff. But she said you forgot Illinois." And I was like, "No, no, I promise, I'm not trying to forget anybody. Like I'm moving on to a federal level because I know I can't go state by state. I don't have time anymore."
Right.
She said they moved a serial killer into a serial killer who's a man who kills women into the prison where my mom's at. And he's cutting up women's faces and nobody cares. She said my mom filed a PREA, the Prison Rape Elimination Act complaint, because they forcibly made her strip out in front of trans women. And they wrote her up. They cited her for like harassment and false reporting because of that complaint. So that needs to be amended too. Obama administration changed the Prison Rape Elimination Act to include LGBTQIA plus inmates as a protected class. No, you just have to treat everybody that's incarcerated like a human being, and this wouldn't be a problem at all.
Right.
There's no protected class within the prison. Treat everybody like their life matters, and we'll be good.
Right.
Simple.
Fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's gross.
Is it meant to drive us all mad? Because that's what it feels like. I mean, how could they not foresee what was going to happen? I feel like how did Obama had to know
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they are all fully aware of where this is going because it's all part of a well operated, executed plan.
to
This is
de-sex us and declassify everything and yeah, the whole fucking thing.
in the works for decades. I think like there was a march on, or it's on record. It's on congressional record in 1972. It's pretty scary because in 1972 there was a demand made to prioritize transgender inmates in prisons and to make gender dysphoria not a mental illness. It's in 1972.
This is such a long con.
Since 1972, and I'm sure it's way before that even. And there was another.
Well, it all goes back to the eugenics experiments from World War II and the Nazis, and I don't know if it's prior to that as well. Probably.
Yes, totally, because that wasn't their original project. That wasn't, who is it that, what's his name? James Lindsay. I was talking to him about it in DC. I talked to a lot of people that I really can't believe I get to talk to. And I said, I need to talk to you about eugenics in California. And he was like, do you have a card? Because that's his thing. And there's just some things that aren't going to get told unless I pass it off to a man. And I'm okay with that at this point.
Right.
That's the way the world works. And I don't need attention for every single psychotic topic that I need to cover.
Right.
Yeah, I'm okay with this. I just need somebody to say something about it because eugenics was born in California. The eugenics as we know it, all of the sterilizations, all of the natives and the blacks and the undesirables that they were sterilizing, this then turned into the Department of Mental Health, which eventually turned into the Department of Corrections. It never ever stopped. It's just continued. And I'm sure that they've been doing disgusting, disturbing experiments. This all happened when Stanford was being founded, and those kookaloos created that horrible occult, twisted upper echelon of the California elite. That's the real people need to crack that egg, tap into that, and that'll give you some reading for months.
Like elite academia or just elite everything? Politics. Well, I guess they're all married together.
Yes.
You talk about Bohemian Grove and shit?
Yeah.
All right.
before that, there was the group in Frisco that had all of the genius poets and people that we have a lot of respect for were hanging out at these places with these intellectuals, and then it turned into something twisted like Bohemian Grove.
Yeah.
And we can't have that. We can't have these secret government meetings that are.
There shouldn't be any secrets. I mean, like you said, these people work for us. It's so I've been getting so mad lately thinking like, how dare these fucking people keep secrets? How dare you keep secrets about aliens or aircraft or whatever the fuck, medicines, experiments on children, whatever it is. You don't get to fucking keep secrets. How dare you? Who the fuck do you think you are? You work for us. And I know they don't see it that way. They see us as cattle. I know that already. The useless eaters. But everybody wake the fuck up. I don't want to be a cattle.
No, I'm feeling so bad because I feel like this is the most abusive relationship I've ever been in with America.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys have been cheating on me my whole life because you're not who you said you were. There's not like this is not cherry tree chopping George Washington. This is demented. This is this is the X-Files.
Yeah.
I grew up on the X-Files because I wouldn't have been mentally prepared for this had I not have been such a big science fiction but reality fan. That they really hurt my feelings the last several years. I've been like, damn, America, you did dirty.
Amy, you would really enjoy the conversation I had with this woman named Molly Sky Brown. She's a singer, and all she ever wanted to do was sing. She's professionally trained for it, and she just opportunity after opportunity after opportunity was always some kind of trafficking situation or some kind of pervert trying to get into her pants. And I moved to LA 99 or 2000. I can never remember which one. So I've been here for 24 years, and I've had many a shitty offer, or many like, oh, talk to my friend so and so, and it's a date and not a meeting and things like, and it's just like, how dare everyone try to fucking human traffic us when like we're just trying to like be entertainer. Like I would have never moved to LA if I had known how it worked here. You either are born into it or you got to take it in the diddy hole. I didn't know that.
And every lovely woman I know that has that's the wall that they've come up against. That's the wall that they come up against, and it sucks because there's so many talented, wonderful people that have so many amazing contributions that need to be made that get shot down because they won't suck that D or they won't take that P, and it's just not right. This needs to be uncovered and whooped on too because Hollywood is a dirty, dirty place.
I'm so mad about it. And there's, it's hard because it's like, there's things that I did that held me back, but they were all connected to this. Things like drinking, you know, that's it's connected. And being like just not even wanting to try for another opportunity because you don't know what the thing like it's fucked. It's fucked.
This could be, I mean, and I think about the things I survived. I mean, there's some really crazy stuff that goes on around here. Really, really crazy, like unbelievable. I can't even, and I don't want to expose a lot of it because I don't want to traumatize people that haven't been traumatized. If I
Mm,
tell me that I'm crazy and I'm stupid and you hate me, I'll take that if it means I can save your soul from having to be exposed to the level of darkness that I've trudged through. Um, because it's unbelievable. It's unfreaking believable what is really happening on the other side of this very thin veil that hides the dark side.
yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to sound like some kind of superhero, but I don't want people to have to walk around completely traumatized in a daze or in a state of mind like I'm in most of the time. I don't want you to have to live
Yeah.
like.
That's my main thing. I get really upset with I get that's why the whole thing about coercive control why I'm so like clawed into that because I don't like the idea of you not you, but another person ruining as far as I know, we only get to live once, right? How dare you fuck up someone's one chance at that, to waste their time, their years, their energy, their heart, their talents. How dare you? It's monstrous. It's inhumane. It shouldn't be allowed. The waste of it.
It's such a huge uh, uh it's such a fraud that they advertise this as the land of the free. Like, people have no idea how much freedom exists in a third world freaking country, man. Being disconnected from the matrix and being able to live and be happy and do what you want to do without having to be completely oppressed by a system that's designed to hate you and keep you dumbed down and miserable. I know that sounds really crazy, but moving to El Salvador sounds more and more like a dream come true, damn near every day.
I know people who have done it.
I can't leave my post, until God releases me from my assignment. I'm going to hold my ground, but I'm going on vacation because I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah, we all deserve a vacation. That's for dang sure. Well, I'm sorry I missed you at AmFest, but I'll see you at the next one. That's for dang sure. And hopefully I'll be able to make it to more events, as time goes on. It's hard because I don't have a benefactor. As I know, we all need one and we don't have one. Hey, how about rich people? Why don't y'all sponsor us?
That
People
would
doing the work.
that would be so nice. I can tap dance. I can do a lot of things. I just being able to participate in things like AmFest is so encouraging. Just being around so many people that are happy to celebrate freedom and freedom of speech and human rights for all. It was
Oh, yeah, the vibe was so good. Everyone was so pumped and positive and just so for America. And that's,
oh, there were so many very tall people there. I was like, wow, they are really
yeah.
cool things in Los Angeles because you guys are all big and tall. Something's really going on. I was like, what kind of corn do you guys eat? Because we're not this tall in LA. People are extremely smaller, or maybe I'm
It's
on.
true, actually. The people aren't tall in LA. That is true.
What is it? Because I swear everybody that I talked to was over 6 feet at Amfest. It was
Corn-fed Americans.
that's what it is.
And I also loved, I've only been to Phoenix one time, but I got to see that whole area because, like I told you, my dog was at daycare and then my hotel was in Mesa because I was trying to be near Laura. So I was driving I got to see all of the whole
Right.
area, Flagstaff, Scottsdale, all of and I liked all of it. It had still a good vibe there.
Yes, I actually, I mean, I stayed within like a 100-foot radius of the convention center, but
Smart.
step I took, everyone I met, everywhere I went, everybody was super chill. Everybody was really chill, from the hotel staff to, like the one homeless.
Yes.
Everybody was chill.
Yeah, it was clean, service was good, it was chill, the vibe was great. It was easy to get around. The weather was good.
The infrastructure was incredible. Like, the roads make sense. I was like, oh, was this city designed by normal people? Because this is very logical.
Yeah, I'm used to driving to Vegas a lot, and that's scary. I always take the wrong exit. My dad lives there. He takes wrong exits. When my husband drives, he takes the wrong. It's so fucking confusing, and everyone drives 8 billion miles an hour there. I'm
Yeah.
used to driving in LA, but the roads are all fucking potholed and broken, and there's traffic, so like whatever. But yes, that whole area was very easy to get around, and like I said, I was zipping all over because I got there and I was like, I hate my clothes. So I was like, I gotta go to a mall. And I was like, and then I was like, I gotta get my nails done. So I was like, I was dropping the car off and then get my nails done and then went and bought a top and then go back to the hotel and then to the thing and parking. Like, so just all over the place.
That's how you get to know a city. I feel like it was awesome. I only got to see Tallahassee really in the nighttime, but the gas is only $2.38 there. So it really doesn't matter about anything else. Plus, they have the Waffle House, and the Waffle House doesn't really serve anything that's over $7.45. And they have grits, and I learned to love grits in prison. And
Love grits.
it's like a recon mission of people when there's natural disasters. The Waffle House goes out and saves people too. And they stay open so that people can go in there and shelter. We don't have that at IHOP
No, we don't.
for us. And then they have Moss in Tallahassee, and then everybody in Atlanta was really nice, and DC was lovely. It's just
When you
really
go those places, does it feels like when I was in that for Amfest and I was not at the convention, but everywhere else, I was like, oh, I'm in America. Like this feels like America because we live in LA or surrounding, and it's just like it's not America. I don't know where the fuck we are, but this isn't America. That felt like America.
ready for California Doge to come in and dig the dirt bags out of here. And I'm telling you, from the librarian to the governor, they gotta go because they're all corrupt. Our Republicans are Democrats. Our there is no logic in this state. It's all nuts. And there's years of damage that needs to be repaired, and it's going to take some kind of a revival. And I can feel it coming. People are tired of this, but they need to stay on point because it's only 12 months until we have a new governor. Who's going to run against Kamala Harris? Do we have
Uh,
do we have anybody that's lined up?
no.
We got to get it cooking and cracking and branding and getting somebody ready because I don't have time. And I don't want to move to Sacramento, but pick somebody before I have to nominate myself. Pick some freaking body.
Yeah.
We need a powerhouse. We need somebody who's a reasonable, level-headed, like even a medium Democrat, like a Kennedy kind. It could be anybody, just not
I wonder
him.
if JD Vance knows anybody.
Somebody said something about Shanahan, but I would really like to see a nice San Diego person, a nice surfer.
Yeah, like a California person.
Yeah, that would really that would really rock it with me.
Oh, it'd be great to have a Gen X California person who's like into that. Like we know what the California vibe is because we grew up idolizing that 60s thing, but then we had our whole 80s, 90s. Like we know what it's supposed to feel like here.
Yes, and we can walk across the street and, safely and use keys and locks and function, and we don't need apology for everything. And oh, that would be amazing. That would be maybe that's the goal. Okay, we need a Gen Xer because somebody we have to we
A
got to
Gen X Surf City kind of person. Well, we got to find out who's doing politics down in San Diego.
I might have a guy. He's a little younger, but I think there's a guy. Because San Diego was so popping during the COVID lockdowns. I was so proud of them for
Uh-huh.
how they really stood up and stood against the administration and the psychopaths in San Diego. They were like, no, no, no. They were live. They were lit. I mean, I live in LA and I'm watching their city council meetings because they were so active.
Oh, good. Good for
They're
them.
by their get down. And I'm praying and hoping, and I'm gonna keep dropping lugs and planting seeds because we have very, very little time before that becomes another state of emergency. Because who is it? It's gonna be either her, Rob Bonta, Thurmond, the Board of Education guy. We can't have Rob Bonta. He's a totally corrupt SOB. And I'm pretty sure he's gonna go down with that defamed former mayor of Oakland anyway. My fingers are crossed. But options are limited and we got
Yeah. Well, eyes forward, California. Figure it out. But yeah, yay for Trump and yay for good news for women. Thank you for all the hard work you're doing.
thank you. Thank you for caring. Thank you for talking to me about it for so long. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Do you want to send anybody anywhere? Tell people what you're working on, where to find you, what they should be looking at.
The latest piece of art is on Jennifer Bilek's 11th hour vlog, my speech from DC. I'm pretty proud of that.
Okay,
And
I'll put a link to that in the show notes. I love Jennifer Bilek.
thank you. And please visit, www.womaniwoman.org to see what we're up to and how you can help us help the women inside. Other than that, just, I'll see you on the internet.
Yeah, I'll be seeing you in the exosphere. Let's say bye to everybody, and then you and I can say goodbye. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.